So this is a 40-year-old manager here at my facility. I work at a hospital. And we've actually done some coaching over the years on several different topics. And I asked her to do this profile just because we had done some previous coaching. And I've actually known this person for quite some time, so I do have some background, which I'll share with you. She actually started as an assistant manager and worked within the facility for about 7 years. And then she became the manager about 2 years ago. So looking at her profile, among her most important situations that she has personally, which impact her profile quite a bit, is she does have multiple sclerosis. And she's had it for quite some time, probably about 10 or 12 years. And it's beginning to progress a little bit. In looking at her profile and knowing, like I said, her on a physical basis, that actually shows up quite a bit, especially on the internal and external in the systemic and extrinsic portions, just because she has high capacities there, yet physically she's not able to do some of the things that she really would like to do. She also admits that there are times when she probably should try a bit harder, just, she kind of uses that as an excuse occasionally, but she knows that she wants to work on those things. But that does play into her profile quite a bit. It's also reflected on her page 6 within the same dimensions as her role in a leader. You'll also notice on page 6 that her external intrinsic is very high in people skills, and she does consider this her strong suit, but as we've been discussing, with every good thing there's a downside, and she also realizes that that can be her undoing at times, because she sometimes will make decisions based on her people skills versus her managerial inclination, and she says that sometimes that puts her at a disadvantage, and she realizes that, but sometimes after the fact, that she made a decision based in, what she wants for people versus what she needs to do as a manager, and that's something that she needs to work on, and it's actually something that we've coached around several different times. She also contends with some inner conflict of just being an overall manager and a person. She's at certain times debated whether she really wanted to stay in the managerial position, just because that does cause her some conflict, especially while she's at work. She says she thinks about it more at work than when she's at home. She would also like to work on some of her external extrinsic. Again, she realizes that she has a high capacity, and when I did this particular profile with her, I didn't go into a really large description of the different components. We didn't, and on the profile, even though they have all the descriptors there, we didn't really use the descriptors, and I told her we're going to kind of discard those, because I actually did this back in May in the first set. So we kind of discarded those, and I just kind of explained to her what the capacities and the diamonds meant, and I just kind of let her take a look at those and kind of let those roll around in there, and then asked her, what her thoughts were about that. And she really kind of felt that there's a lot more impact on those dimensions, like I said, at work. She does have a significant personal issue that I'm very much aware of. Of course, she is as well. She doesn't really like to discuss it, but in looking at the profile from my own personal standpoint, I see how it impacts. She also agreed that it impacts, but she wasn't wanting to really go there and talk about that particular issue. And like I said, I know her on a personal level, so that's my personal feelings, and I didn't go there. I felt that if she wanted to, she could address that if she'd like to, which she chose not to. She also feels that she has a distinct inattention to the practical side of things when it comes to decision making, especially at work. And again, you can kind of see that she has a capacity for that. She wants to, but she really doesn't want to. So if you're looking on the external extrinsic, you can see that her diamond is a bit low there, but she does have a capacity for it. And taking a look at the scores that are at the bottom, on the intrinsic side, she also, you can see some of her numbers are high, and again, I kind of attribute that to her internal situations. Again, I didn't say anything about that. I let her address that how she wants to. She admits that she has a lack of self-esteem and that she would like to work on that, and I feel that that's probably most visible in her SQ score, and that also her diff and her dim and her INT-P. She She's not willing to make the changes that she knows that she wants to, which is why I feel that those scores were there. But again, that was something I'm looking at, but I didn't bring that up. That's just because, it's her coaching, and I wanted to make sure that, she wanted to talk about what she wanted. Something that did come up, which is not on here, and I know that we had talked about, do we want to include the spider diagram? And I looked at that knowing what I know, and it's funny because letting people look at it and making their own assessments on her, when her spider diagram came up, she had all of her blue, which is the part that is your ability, is on one side, and then your gold is on the where you're concentrating. And she noticed that she concentrates in the areas where that's not where her capacities or abilities are. Initially, she thought, well, it's a good thing that I'm concentrating there because those are not my strong suits. And then she paused as soon as she said that, and she looked at me and she said, it probably would be a better thing if I used what my strong suits are to help my not so strong suits. So maybe I should think about looking at myself from that regard, meaning, maybe I should look at my strong points and use those to help my not so strong points. And again, looking back on her profile, she looked at what her capacities were and what she wanted for herself. And she kind of, at that moment, decided, I have a lot of capacity, which I agree she absolutely positively has. She wants a lot for herself, yet she really has just been kind of stuck trying to decide where she wants to go. Again, kind of that in limbo. And she really kind of decided at that moment that she really wanted to do something different for herself. She didn't have a specific direction that she wanted to go, but she certainly decided that was where she needed to move in that direction. We did talk a little bit about her diff 1 and 2, the imbalance. And again, I didn't really say, this is what this number means. She just kind of looked at that and said, wow, there's really kind of, those numbers don't really match. So I guess I really have some conflict going on, and I probably need to bring those things a little bit closer together. She decided that she really wanted to just sit and think about what she really wanted to do for herself. We did meet again for another coaching. She's actually created an action plan for herself, both here at work and at home. Her at work one was to start looking at some classes that she wanted to take, some additional classes in leadership and management. For her personal side, she's a bit overweight, and again, because of her multiple sclerosis, she has some difficulty in getting around. But after thinking about it, she decided when she was younger, she used to do swimming a lot, and she actually joined the Y, and she's been swimming, and she's actually been doing that 3 times a week, and she actually started walking on the treadmill very slowly, but she has, and she's, since May, she's lost about 25 pounds, which for her is a significant amount of weight, just because for her it takes such a long time, and she has a lot of physical disabilities. What I took away from that is again, as a coach, not putting any of my own personal feelings out there for the person. And even though you might look at her numbers and think, oh my goodness, there's a lot of stuff going on, her own interpretation was right on the mark. In looking at just the bars and the diamonds alone, knowing and looking at that and not even putting numbers to them, just knowing that she has the capability and the capacity, again, it kind of fulfilled her systemic need to go, wow, I really am so much better than what I give myself credit for, and I bet you if I work towards those things, I can improve those things for myself. And like I said, this was back in May. I've coached with her a couple of times since then, and personally, she's done quite a few things. Professionally, she's also done some things, and I have asked her to go ahead and take the profile again. She hasn't gotten around to that because I'd really like to see where she's moved from this profile to this point in time. I really feel that there would be a significant change in not only her numbers, but in her diamonds and her bars. So that's my person.